Hey, Mr. Gaji here. So today what I want to do is talk about something that we're all very familiar with, something we've been familiar with for some time, but something that we probably haven't thought too much about, and that is the Pledge of Allegiance. Now, I'm not going to go through a whole history of the Pledge of Allegiance. It is an interesting one. We'll mention a couple things, but instead what I wanted to think about are the words. What they mean, why we say them, what they mean to me, what they mean to you. And so we start with the pledge by saying, I pledge allegiance. Now notice, who's pledging here? You are. I am. Notice we don't say we pledge allegiance to the flag. We say I. And that's important because in our country, individualism is very important to how we understand things. We have our individual rights. We each have our own individual beliefs and identities and different ways of thinking about the world. And so we recognize that in our pledge. But in the United States, we always have to balance this idea of individualism with the public good, with the community. We are one country. So what we do is we say it together. Not just here in our school, across the state, across the country. We balance. We say it together, but it is I that am pledging allegiance. So what are we pledging allegiance to? Well, to the flag of our country, the United States of America. Now, are we literally pledging allegiance to a piece of fabric, a piece of tri-colored fabric? Of course not. No, we're pledging to our country, and specifically to the republic for which it stands. Our flag is a symbol of our country, and here in the pledge we are reminded that we're really pledging to the republic. So, the republic. Well, what is that? Well, that is our type of government. The republic is a representative democracy. That is what we're pledging to. It is a type of democracy. Now let's think about this for a second. What's a democracy? Well, democracy is a type of rule. So you take the old Greek, kratin or krasi means rule. Who is ruling? The people. We are. That's what we're pledging to, is our form of government. And notice, we don't pledge allegiance to the president. We're not pledging allegiance to Joe Biden or Donald Trump or Barack Obama. We're not pledging allegiance to the members of Congress. We're not pledging allegiance to the current government. We're pledging allegiance to our form of government. Our form of government where we, the people, are ultimate authority. One nation. Reminded that despite the fact that we are 50 different states, in many cases very different states, despite the fact that we are a very different people, of different ethnicities, different genders, different beliefs, different ways of thinking about the world, we are one nation.
There is a T-Force meeting in room 206 at 1.
Hopefully we can edit this out, if not.
For snacks, drinks, and T-Force. Thanks.
One nation. Our original and our official national motto is E pluribus unum. They loved the Greek and Latin back then. This is Latin. Out of many, one. Out of all of the places we're from and the beliefs that we have, we are still one nation. And we are one nation under God. Now this is the part where some people, well, they maybe get critical or maybe wonder. Well, we're not all religious, Mr. Gaji. We have different religions. And this is true. Now what's interesting about this section of the pledge is that it was not in the original version. The original version from the late 1800s did not have this line. This line was actually inserted by Congress in 1954. So remember, we're a republic, we are a representative democracy. So one of the things you can do in a republic is change things. Well, our Congress, our representatives, the people, changed it in 1954. Why? Well, we were in the middle of the Cold War against the Soviet Union. Communism was the big bad. And when you look at orthodox or traditional communism, it is atheistic. And so what we tried to do here was to show the world, show ourselves, that we were a religious people engaged in this struggle against the Soviets, and communism were atheistic. So that was just inserted at that point to make that reminder. And it also serves as a reminder that although we have religious freedom in this country, we are a very religious country when you compare us especially to other democracies. And so it was entered in there as well. We are one nation, indivisible. We cannot be divided up. Now this line had a special meaning, especially at the time, because this was just a few decades after the Civil War, when literally the country was divided and we fought an entire war over it. But the idea here is that despite our differences, despite our different belief systems, we are that one nation. We are that United States. And we say this pledge to remind ourselves of that. And we are a nation with liberty. Now we talk about the incredible ideas and values that are embodied in our government and in our country. Our individual liberties to live our lives the way we want to live. Justice, fairness, equality. The Republic helps us produce these things. And then finally, liberty and justice for who? For some of us? For the rich people? No. Liberty and justice for all. Now, many of you may be thinking, rightfully so, wait a minute, Mr. Gaji, do we really have liberty and justice for all in this country? And the answer is probably no. And it certainly was not true at the time that this was written. But the way I like to see this, and some may disagree with me, is I see this not so much as a perfect reflection of the world today. I see this as a promise. I see this as something that's not yet done. And I am thankful, and I think we should be thankful, that we live in this republic where we, the people, get to work hard to ensure that all of us have that liberty and justice and equality. Understanding that we are probably going to disagree a lot about what all that means. That's the promise. And you think about it, how it's actually worked. When this was written, we had segregation in the South, and the civil rights movement worked hard to try to ensure more liberty and justice for Black Americans in the South and around the country. At this time, women couldn't even vote. And yet, working hard, using our freedoms in the Republic to gain that right to vote and gain other rights that they enjoy today. Is it done? No. That's the promise that we work for. So when we say the pledge, I like us to think about the fact that we're in this republic and that we have this goal. And lastly, I think it's important that we say it because in our country where we are so different, this is one thing that we can do together. We're not connected by common bloodlines or ethnicity or anything like that. We are bounded by our faith in these issues, in these values, And so by saying the pledge, we're reminded that that's the one thing that keeps us together in a country is those attachment to those issues. And that's what we're trying to do here. And so think about in our school the different beliefs, but we're all saying it. And then around the country, conservatives, liberals, people of different ethnicities, religions, whether you're in Alaska or Florida or Maine or California, we're all saying it. That's what helps us get that promise of one nation. So the next time you say the pledge, yes, I know most people just kind of just say it without thinking about the words. Do me a favor and just sit for a second And as you say it, maybe just think about it a little bit. And that's all I really ask. So thanks, guys, for having me take up a little bit of your time today. Talk to you later.